So, earlier on this week, in common with many other people, I was following the certification of President-elect by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And should have been a fairly straightforward affair. We knew Republicans, a bunch of them, were going to object to the results, but overall that shouldn't matter at all. But I was watching it anyway because I was kind of interested in the result. And then the reporter, I was following a blog on the New York Times, and they were showing the images of Mitch McConnell making his speech, saying the objectors had no basis to stand on, even though Democrats were terrible, something like that. And then suddenly it turns out that a mob of angry Trump supporters had broken the perimeter and broken into the Capitol building, some of them carrying Confederate flags, Proud Boy flags, and someone dressed like a Viking, a QAnon supporter. Anyway, a bunch of real nut jobs. And anyway, they didn't know really what to make of it. I mean, the Senate had to be evacuated, and it seemed really dangerous. People died. The people were ripping things and stealing them out of the Capitol, and yet, taking selfies with the police. It wasn't a BLM march, so the police didn't feel they had to do anything, so they let them get away with it. And anyway, it took a long time for this to all unfurl in front of us with this live blog and the videos. And there was a point, and it was actually exactly 5 p.m. Eastern time, where the chief national correspondent for the New York Times, he had been reporting on this madness. He suddenly stops and he says, if I could make a quick foray into the mundane, ... I really need a drink. I think he was echoing all of our sensibilities with that. Luckily, it all turned out okay in the end. There were 5 people dead, which is not great. But in the end, the President-elect and Kamala Harris, they were certified. The election results were certified, and that all went through, despite the objections of 147 Republican lawmakers. And so I wanted to make a drink that kind of captured that, the sort of idea of a retreating army, which was this army of white rioting mob, QAnon, conspiracy theorist type people, that they're on the retreat, and Trumpism is on the retreat, and it's also something worth celebrating. So to do that, this cocktail for today is something that came out of, I think appropriately enough, the latter days of the end of the Second World War. And American intelligence officers in France were trying to figure out the best thing to do with this looted French luxury goods that the Germans had captured, and they'd captured back off the Germans, of alcohol, of course. And they just determined this very efficient way of drinking a bunch of French booze. And this cocktail is called the B2C2, which is named after the 4 ingredients in the cocktail. The first one is French ingredients, so the first one is some French brandy. And I will say, I tried this with Kate over Christmas, and we went with the original recipe, which was everything at room temperature. No stirring with ice, no pouring over ice, no nothing like that. I'm not doing that way. I'm going to take pity on us, but I will say it was very nice and very wintry and warming with the drinks all being room temperature. But right now, let's pour it over ice. I'm going to go 1 ounce of the first B, which is brandy. If you have cognac, all the better, because who doesn't like good ingredients? Second ingredient, and our second B in this cocktail, is Benedictine. We will have another 1 ounce of that, like so. And now for the C. They would have used Cointreau. I don't have Cointreau. I do have another French orange liqueur, which calls for another 1 ounce of that. No stinting with the measures here. I mean, you're celebrating with these luxury goods, the retreat of fascism, right? 1 ounce of that, and we are just going to stir that over ice, because we want a stirred cold drink rather than a room temperature one, I guess. And it's funny, in the background I just had the clash on. First it was I'm so bored of the USA, and then it was White Riot, and that sort of summed up the first down by the clash. It kind of summed up those nut jobs marching on the Capitol just 2 days ago. Okay, that's enough stirring of that. We are going to pour this into a glass, like so. A very nice, luxurious looking drink. And then the fourth ingredient would have been champagne. That's the second C after the Cointreau champagne. The brut champagne, if you have it. I mean, sure, have some Tattinger or whatever you have, but I don't have that. I do have one of my little emergency bottles of Prosecco, and that will have to do. And you just top up this drink with 2 to 3 ounces or so of that good stuff, and maybe now we can say goodbye to Trump and good riddance. Cheers. Yes, that is easing his departure well.